Can you go back in time? This interesting question has been talked about a lot since The Time Machine by H.G. Wells introduced us to the idea of going back in time. In this story, an inventor from the 1800s accidentally travels to the year 802 AD and finds a world that is foreign to him. However, some people still believe that time travel could become real, while others think it's just a fantasy. Well-known physicist Stephen Hawking once thought it might be possible to travel through time one day. People are saying that they have already been on journeys through time while these topics are being talked about. One of these people said they had gone into the year 2345 and come back with scary predictions about the future of humanity. Can we really find our way through the halls of time? Who is this mysterious person who says they have crossed the line between time and space? What about the contradictions that time travel theories often try to solve? Let us look into the story of this supposed time traveler and the scary visions he had. Bielek, who was born in 1927, is a character who stands out in the story of time travel. He was so smart and had such a great memory that people called him the walking encyclopedia because he could remember so much at such a young age. He even said that he understood conversations when he was a baby, which shows that he had a very high level of intelligence. His life changed dramatically after seeing The Philadelphia Experiment, a movie based on a naval military experiment that was said to have sent a ship's crew back in time during World War II. This movie experience brought up a lot of memories that Bielek had been trying to forget. Bielek found memories of a past life while going through different types of therapy. He thought he was Edward Cameron, born in 1916. He finds out that the people he thought were his parents were actually the state's guardians and that his real brother Duncan was kept from him. After learning this, he thought he had a direct role in the Philadelphia experiment. This connected his life story to one of the most controversial and mysterious time travel stories of the 20th century. If you want to discuss this and more intriguing topics, just send a message in the comments and don't forget to subscribe because you are not alone anymore. As the story goes on, Bielek gets deeper into this time travel thing by tracing the project's roots back to 1931. He and his brother Duncan joined the work during the turbulent times of World War II. The goal of the experiments in 1943 was to hide American ships from Nazi submarines, and he tells them about their own experiences with them. He says that great minds like John Hutchinson, John von Neumann, and the legendary Nikola Tesla led the project. When they first succeeded in 1940 making smaller ships invisible, it gave them the confidence to try again with the USS Eldridge. Al, on the other hand, talks about a terrible day on July 22nd when their plans were dashed. The ship did go missing, but when it came back, there was chaos, and the crew was sick and delirious. Even though the results were scary and von Neumann warned people to be careful, the Navy insisted on moving the tests forward. When Al talks about how he and Duncan were in a tough spot on the reappeared Eldridge and decided to jump off the ship, his story takes a strange turn. While they were gone, they left Philadelphia in 1943. When they got back, they found themselves in Montauk, New York in 1983. A much older John von Neumann and a heavily guarded entrance greeted them. He told them how bad their situation was. Von Neumann explained that they were caught in a strange event in time, with the Eldridge stuck in a hyperspace bubble that was growing and threatening the very fabric of reality on Earth. He suggested a dangerous trip back in time to the Eldridge to take apart the machines that were causing all this chaos. Al and Duncan set out on this important mission with nothing but axes. It looked like their actions fixed the time distortions and steered the Eldridge back to its original time. After doing this brave thing, Al lost consciousness and woke up in the year 2137, not in 1943 during the war or in 1983. In this future time, he says that he and Duncan were treated for radiation burns they got while they were traveling through time. Bielek's story, which has both science fiction and historical intrigue, gives a very clear picture of how complicated time travel is and how exciting it can be to navigate its unpredictable waters. He talks more about his 6-week stay in the Hospital of the Future, where advanced energy-based treatments have replaced traditional medical practices. This adds to Al's journey through time. Al described a future world where entertainment has been stripped down to its most basic forms. For example, TV only shows historical information and geographical updates, showing how the American landscape has changed dramatically and the world's population has dropped significantly due to nuclear destruction. He paints a bleak picture of a broken-up US and a world ruled by the military, which is very different from the utopian society he later finds in the year 2749. In this section, Al talks about a world where anti-gravity technology and robots do all the work, eliminating the need for money and traditional jobs and creating a peaceful world community free of war. But this journey through time has a personal cost. Al talks about how his brother Duncan died too soon, which is a hint at the deep and unpredictable side effects of their time-traveling adventures. It's interesting that Al says his brother's telepathic abilities helped him reincarnate, or go back to the past, where he now lives with memories of both the past and the future under a new name. As the story jumps back and forth between reality and science fiction, readers are left to wonder if Al's crazy claims are true. Some people believe his story could help us understand time travel better, while others don't believe it and think it's just a story. Whether Al's story is based on facts or his imagination, the real point of his journey depends on how the things he predicted will happen in the future, especially the big changes that will happen by 2025. This story starts bigger conversations about the idea of time travel by comparing how we normally experience time, which moves in a straight line, with the complicated non-linear time travel stories that are popular in science fiction. It makes us think about how time, memory, and the idea of multiple realities or parallel universes might be connected in complex ways. The past, present, and future may all be connected in unexpected ways. In fiction, time travel is usually shown as just going into a machine and coming out at a different time. In scientific circles, time travel is still a topic of both interest and skepticism. While movies that show time travel are interesting, scientists are more cautious. They acknowledge that it might be possible in theory, but they stress how complicated the details are. As of now, there is no practical way to send people through time without terrible things happening. In his book, Black Holes and Baby Universes, Stephen Hawking made a funny point of saying that the fact that there are no time-traveling tourists is a strong argument against time travel being possible. But scientific theories, especially Albert Einstein's special theory of relativity, point to a way to change time. This idea says that the speed at which you see time changes. This means that someone moving close to the speed of light would see time move more slowly than someone who is not moving. The mission of astronaut Scott Kelly in space showed this effect in the real world. Kelly was a little older than his twin brother Mark, who lived on Earth and spent 520 days in space. This is because of the difference in how much time they experienced, which is based on relativity. This idea includes theoretical concepts like wormholes, black holes, and string theory, which offer different views on how time travel might work. People are still interested in time travel, and different types of media are always trying to show what it could mean. Einstein's theories, like general relativity, give us a basic understanding of the space-time continuum. This means that even though we might not be zipping through time like in movies, the idea of time travel is still being studied and debated in the scientific community. The idea that time slows down when speeds are very high gives us a real, if limited, experience of traveling through time, given what we know about technology and the physical world right now. Astronauts like Scott Kelly have lived through times that are different from our own, showing us that science fiction and science reality can coexist. Einstein's theories are very interesting, and time dilation is one of them. It shows that time does not flow in a straight line and can change depending on speed and gravity. The difference in age between astronauts, like the Kelly brothers, may not seem like much, but it shows a very important truth. Speed changes with the passage of time. There is also the idea in general relativity that the strength of gravity affects time, with time moving more slowly in stronger gravitational fields. Dave Goldberg, a cosmologist, says that this effect can be felt and that time does slow down around massive celestial bodies like black holes and neutron stars. Because of how strong the gravitational pull is near a black hole, time moves much more slowly. This means that a few hours spent near a black hole could feel like thousands of years on Earth. Because of this difference, a trip away from gravitational fields this strong might seem like a trip into the future when you get back to Earth. But the idea of going backward in time or retrograde time travel is even more difficult and leads to even more paradoxes. Scientists have been interested in this idea since the 1920s, and it has led to theories like huge rotating cylinders that might be able to bend spacetime. In the 1970s, this idea grew into the idea of closed time-like curves, which are paths in spacetime that loop back on themselves. This means that you can go back to a point in time and space that happened in the past. According to these curves, it might be possible to travel through time to the past in some situations where spacetime is sufficiently warped. Even though there isn't a practical use for time travel yet, these discussions have made scientists think about it more seriously, especially since the 1980s. They are now combining theoretical physics and imaginative speculation to learn more about how time can be changed. Igor Novikov and Kip Thorne's work on closed time-like curves in 1990 was a major step forward in the scientific community's study of time travel. It looked at how to build a time machine and the problems that come up when you travel through time. Their research into theories about time travel brought up interesting situations, such as the paradox of a billiard ball being sent back in time and possibly stopping its earlier self from entering the time machine. This shows how complicated and contradictory time travel theories are. Even though people are still interested in the idea, there hasn't been much progress in the field since the 1990s. This is mostly because every proposed time machine model has major flaws. One big problem with these ideas is that they need negative mass and energy, which is something that hasn't been seen in real life but is theoretically possible. This is especially important for keeping a wormhole open. A wormhole is a made-up tunnel in space-time that connects two faraway points. Without negative mass to balance it out, the wormhole would fall apart under its own gravity. On a very small scale, quantum phenomena show signs of negative energy. But in order to make a time machine that works, these conditions must be met on a much larger scale. For time travel, the idea of wormholes is still very interesting. One end of the wormhole could be sent through space at almost the speed of light to create a break in time between the two ends. With this method, going through the wormhole might be like traveling through time, with one end being in the past compared to the other. However, the huge difficulty of creating or using negative mass and energy to build and maintain a wormhole means that this kind of time travel mechanism is still only a theory and not something that can be used in real life. The idea of a wormhole made of normal matter collapsing under the force of gravity is like the idea of a calorie-free pizza. It's possible in theory, but hard to find in practice. Stephen Hawking thought about these problems with time and came up with the idea of a chronology protection agency in his 1992 paper published in Physical Review D. This was meant to be a joke about how the universe might have ways to stop time travel paradoxes and keep history straight. There are natural contradictions in time travel, which can be seen in the billiard ball and grandfather paradoxes. Things that happened in the past could make it impossible for those things to happen again, which is a logical contradiction. For example, the grandfather paradox says that if you kill your grandfather before he has children, the time traveler will not exist, which is a contradiction. Not only do these paradoxes make us question what causes what and how time works, but they also make us question what free will is. Augustin Rao from MIT looks into these issues and wonders if the limits that time travel puts on actions, like not being able to change what happened in the past, limit people's freedom. He, on the other hand, thinks that time travel and free will can work together by saying that the past is unchangeable and any attempts to change it will always fail because of ordinary and unexpected problems. From this point of view, the known events in history can't be changed, not because people don't have free will, but because the timeline is inherently consistent. For example, anyone trying to hurt their ancestors would fail because of normal, everyday events. This would keep history going. The idea of time travel, mixed with new philosophical and physical knowledge, continues to fascinate and challenge people. The idea of people traveling through time is still a matter of speculation, not fact. The fact that there are no time travelers from the future in our timeline only adds to the mystery. Scientists and philosophers are still interested in the mystery of time travel. We walk the thin line between science and fiction as we explore the world of time travel. Our natural curiosity and never-ending desire to learn are what propel us on our journey. Bielek's story and his unbelievable claims of time travel have us spellbound. It takes us to a world where the lines between time are not clearly defined. The truth of Bielek's story has not yet been proven, but it makes us think about what might be possible beyond what we know now. Scientists don't completely reject the idea of time travel, but there are many different theories and complex concepts surrounding it. Albert Einstein's theories of relativity helped us understand that time is a real but changeable thing that is affected by both speed and gravity. Modern physics is based on the idea that someone moving at a speed close to the speed of light experiences time differently than someone who is standing still. This idea has very real-world uses, but they are very different from the fantastical journeys shown in science fiction. The mysterious nature of black holes and the idea that wormholes might exist introduce us to the idea of closed time-like curves, which give us a look at the possible ways to travel back in time. It's the paradoxes and puzzles that come up with these ideas, though, that make time travel such a controversial topic. The grandfather paradox and other examples of causal loops pose philosophical and scientific problems that make us question our ideas about free will and how time moves in a straight line. As we learn more about the history of time travel, we come across both the possible and the real, the known and the unknown. In this area, the way that science fiction and fantasy work together shows how creative people are and how much they want to understand the universe and our place in it. If time travel is possible, whether in the real world or in our imaginations, it continues to amaze, motivate, and test us, pushing us to think beyond the limits of our present lives. We haven't heard for sure that there are time travelers like Bielek among us yet, but the conversation itself makes our imaginations stronger and our questions about the nature of reality deeper. Are there people walking among us from the past or the future? This question is still a fascinating puzzle that lies at the point where science, philosophy, and the natural human desire to learn meet.